Okay, so here's the mods I've done so far to what I'm calling Dave's Camo Raptor. Still haven't recovered mine from the ocean, but it looks like I will tomorrow. But basically, this is about a year-old plane. A friend of mine sold another friend of mine and sold it to me. It's been around, but it's still in pretty good condition. So what I did, like I did with the other one, is I took off the tower, which I've grown to hate, and went with a twin motor configuration. And I did a little cleaner job, but it's still not beautiful. Maybe the third one will be, but I just wanted to point out what's going on here. Um, what I did normally is I cut this out, a little slot as big, as wide as you can see, as the 10 millimeter or 3/8 stick, and I made it basically level. I cut the slot and put the stick level with the bottom of the wing, and in cutting that, you get this little chunk of foam wing material that has the profile, the actual airfoil. Save that, and what you do is you glue in, when you glue in the stick with epoxy, it should press in there pretty tight, hold it for 3-4 minutes, and it'll set. You'll be left with, if it's flush with the bottom of the wing down here, you'll be left with this gap up here. Well, if you take that piece that you pulled out and then slice it, I should have saved it and shown you, slice it a little bit thinner, you can press it back on top and retain that airfoil, that pretty smooth surface here. This is my first attempt on the right side, which wasn't as good. I didn't cut enough material away. But if you cut away enough at the bottom and leave that top airfoil there, push it in there, it should line up real flush with the top of the wing and look real slick and clean and less draggy. The other thing that I did was I went ahead and took the this normal piece here that comes with that, and I sliced that back off because I use this back deck for the things. And then I took the old foam piece that goes underneath there that extends, that clips into this nose piece right here, and it was all warped and bent, so I just cut a piece of plywood out, thin plywood, and mounted it right there. And then went ahead and chopped this off, and then went ahead and epoxied this canopy, the black canopy, to it, and glued it to the wood piece, so it's one basic pod. And that's where I went ahead and made my mount for the existing camera mount, which I cut a hole down in here and then actually slid it into a piece of tight-fitting styrofoam that was there before. So you got this one pod that just sits on top of there, and very nice. And under that clip, which wears out pretty quick. And then I just plan putting magnets here or Velcro, and just put your battery in the field, drop your pod in. And on the back deck here, I usually put a piece of plywood across there, and that holds OSDs or anything else I want if I don't want it buried inside here, which makes it real tough to get at sometimes, because I tend to put my wings on permanently. I tend to just glue them in underneath here really well. I go with oversized bolts and sink it down into a nice bed of hot glue or epoxy, put the bolts in, and that wing isn't going anywhere. It's just a super rigid structure. Downside, it's very hard to get at anything inside there. So I tend to put a hatch down in here, or just mount it on a working deck back here, and somewhat protected by the Airstream. And my GPS goes here, video transmitter goes here, the video antenna usually is right here, an inverted V, and then my UHF, I usually cut a nice channel in here, and it goes out here. So that is the basic configuration of the Raptor, which I think is a great airframe, with a couple tweaks there, with the twin motor configuration. You get enough clearance here too. These are 7-inch props, twins, and with 3-cell, I'm getting over 4 pounds of thrust on the scale, and pretty good clearance down here. You can see actually if it's sitting level, I'm getting quite a bit of clearance on the when I come into land. And if I go with the 8-inch, it'll still clear, but I got to put little cheaters out here, little wire things to keep it from tipping when it lands, and get minimal contact when it comes in. So that's basically the my second attempt at a Twin Raptor. The third one should look pretty.